Some Canadian soldiers had to soak their food in coffee just to force it down. Others opened a can and found solid animal fat staring back at them. And one ration became so hated, soldiers started giving it away until they discovered something that made everyone want it back. Here's what nobody expects about military food. The worse a meal was, the more soldiers remember it. Powdered eggs that turned to rubber, a biscuit so hard it could break a tooth, and one meal that soldiers eventually turned into currency, literally trading it like money. Today we're ranking 10 forgotten Canadian Army meals, from First World War trenches to Cold War cookhouses to the earliest Canadian ration packs. Some meals soldiers hated on sight. Some became legends nobody expected. And number one didn't just get eaten. It got traded, hoarded, and fought over. Let's start at number 10. 10 powdered eggs. Fresh eggs spoil, powder doesn't. So the military made a choice: feed hundreds of soldiers a breakfast that could survive anywhere, even if it meant sacrificing everything that made eggs taste like eggs. Mix it with water, and the outcome was unpredictable. Too much water, a pale wet paste. Too little, something closer to rubber. Veterans swore powdered eggs somehow managed to be dry and wet at the same time, a texture nobody could quite explain. Ketchup made it bearable. Skipping breakfast wasn't an option before a full day of marches, inspections, and weapons training. The eggs weren't good, they were necessary. That was the entire philosophy behind military food. But number 9 wasn't hated for its taste. It was hated because soldiers saw it again, and again, and again. 9 canned ham with lima beans. This meal wasn't built to be enjoyed. It was built to survive. Heavily salted ham, soft, textureless lima beans, ingredients chosen for shelf life, not flavor. But the real problem wasn't the can itself, it was how often that can reappeared. Open it, heat it, eat it. Days later, it was back. Soldiers got so used to it, they could identify the meal by smell before the can was even fully open. Mustard and hot sauce became survival tools, not condiments. Military planners had a strict order of priorities: calories first, protein second, shelf life third. Variety came dead last, if it came at all. Then there was the meal that earned one of the strangest nicknames in military history, not because of what was in it, because of what it looked like: 8 creamed beef on toast, SOS. Officially, it was creamed beef on toast. Soldiers gave it a different name, one polite enough to say out loud, but everyone knew what it really meant. Ground beef in white gravy poured over toast. Cheap, fast, and built for feeding hundreds at once. But here's the catch. This meal was a gamble every single time. One cook could turn out something rich and genuinely comforting. The next could serve something closer to wallpaper paste. Same recipe, same ingredients, completely different result. Some soldiers actually requested it. Others dreaded seeing it on the line. Nobody agreed on SOS, but everybody remembered it. The next ration wasn't cooked in a kitchen at all. It was opened in a trench, under fire, with no way to heat it safely. 7 Maconochie stew. During the First World War, this canned stew followed Canadian soldiers straight into the trenches. Beef or mutton, potatoes, turnips, carrots, beans. On paper, it sounds like a real meal. Then you opened the tin and found a thick layer of orange animal fat sitting on top. Heating it wasn't always an option. An open flame in the trenches could give away a soldier's position and draw enemy fire. So soldiers often ate it cold, fat already solidified, grease clinging to every bite. It was miserable to eat, but Maconochie had one quality that outweighed everything else. It survived. It could travel to the front line and sit there for weeks without spoiling. When soldiers were starving and exhausted, that mattered more than taste ever could. If Maconochie tested the stomach, the next ration tested something else entirely. The teeth, 6 hardtack and bully beef. Hardtack wasn't really a biscuit. It was closer to a survival tool shaped like food. Flour, water, salt, and almost no moisture at all, which is exactly what let it survive for years without spoiling. But that same trick made it dangerous to eat straight. Soldiers who bit into hardtack like a normal cracker risked their teeth. The smarter move was to soak it in coffee, tea, or soup until it softened enough to chew. Then came bully beef, salted corned beef, packed dense and heavy into tin cans. Together, hardtack and bully beef made one of the least appetizing combinations in military history. But after a brutal march, nobody cared how it looked. They cared how many calories it had. By the 1980s, everything about Canadian field rations had changed. The next meal on this list didn't come in a tin. It came in a pouch that changed field food forever, and it wasn't always an improvement. 5. Early imp beans and wieners. The individual meal pack was a genuine leap forward. Main course, dessert, snacks, and drink, all in one compact, lightweight package. But being modern didn't mean being good. Beans and wieners became one of the most notorious early IMP meals. The ingredients sounded normal: beans, sausages, sauce, but after processing and reheating, everything turned soft, mushy, and the sauce thickened into something almost gluey. Soldiers reached for the included Tabasco constantly, not for heat, but out of desperation for a different flavor. And repeated exposure to IMPs created a second, more personal problem. Soldiers started timing their bathroom breaks around what they'd eaten. It became a running joke across the entire military. Complaints aside, IMPs were still a massive upgrade over hardtack and canned stew. But the next meal on this list didn't come from a ration pouch at all. It came from the cookhouse, and for some soldiers, it tasted exactly like home. 4. Tourtière. For soldiers from Quebec, tourtière wasn't just meat pie. It was Christmas. It was family. It was the one meal that could make a military base feel like home for a single evening. Ground pork or pork and beef seasoned and baked into pastry. Done right, it's rich and deeply comforting. But military kitchens weren't built for done right. They were built to feed hundreds at once. The crust often came out too soft, the filling too greasy. It rarely matched the version soldiers grew up eating. That almost didn't matter. For one meal, a mess hall could feel less like a base and more like a kitchen table back home. The next meal produced the opposite reaction entirely. 3. Liver and onions. On paper, liver and onions was the perfect military meal, cheap, iron-rich, packed with vitamins, and easy to cook in bulk. Soldiers didn't share the enthusiasm. The smell reached the dining hall before the food did. The texture was soft, slippery, nothing like the steak soldiers wished they were getting instead. And there was no alternative. If liver was on the menu, liver was lunch, whether soldiers wanted it or not. Yet years later, some veterans remembered it fondly, not because the meal improved with time, because the people around the table did. The friends, the complaints, the shared misery that somehow became a shared memory. If liver and onions divided soldiers, the next meal did the exact opposite. 2. Cookhouse poutine. No fancy toppings, no gourmet twist, just fries, brown gravy, and cheese, and somehow that was enough to become one of the most beloved meals in Canadian military history. After a brutal day of training or guard duty, this simple combination suddenly tasted incredible. For soldiers stationed overseas, it meant even more. Poutine was unmistakably, unapologetically Canadian, a small taste of home thousands of miles from it. It probably wasn't the best poutine any of them had ever eaten. It didn't need to be. It was hot, it was familiar, and that was everything. But number one wasn't just eaten and forgotten. It became something soldiers would trade for, hoard, and even argue over. 1 imp turkey tetrazzini. Turkey, pasta, creamy sauce on paper. It sounds harmless. Inside a Canadian IMP, it became something closer to legend. Sealed in a thick pouch, built to survive freezing cold, rough handling, and months of storage, soldiers heated it by dropping the unopened pouch straight into boiling water. When it finally opened, the reality rarely matched the description. The pasta turned extremely soft. The sauce thickened into something heavy. The turkey often disappeared into the mixture entirely. Some soldiers hated it on sight. Others became fiercely protective of it, which is exactly what turned this meal into something bigger than food. Turkey tetrazzini became currency. Beef stew for turkey tetrazzini, cookies for peanut butter, coffee for hot chocolate. Every soldier learned fast which rations held value, and tetrazzini was one of the most fought-over trades in the entire ration system. Some soldiers gave theirs away instantly. Others guarded it like treasure. And that's exactly why, decades later, it's the one meal every veteran still remembers. None of these meals were designed to impress anyone. They were designed to survive storage, transport, and the harshest conditions imaginable. Some tasted terrible, some were surprisingly good, and some became unforgettable simply because of who was sitting across the table when they ate them. That's the strange truth about military food. Years later, veterans might not remember exactly what was on the plate, but they remember who was beside them and what they went through together. The food was temporary. The memories weren't.